Hello everybody, welcome back to the Eden Audio YouTube channel. Today I thought we'd try something a little bit different. Instead of playing some music for you or reviewing or showing you a piece of hi-fi gear, I thought for a change we'd have a discussion. Now I've got two hobbies. The first hobby is obviously I like hi-fi gear. I love music, I love listening to music, and I like hi-fi gear, hi-fi equipment. My second hobby is photography, cameras, lenses. Anything to do with photography, taking photos, making videos, I enjoy watching. Now, I'm not a great watcher of TV, so I spend a lot of time watching YouTube channels. And I've noticed one particular thing about YouTube and the channels and the difference between photography and hi-fi. Now, I would have thought that would have been quite similar. The interest in those two subjects I would have thought would have been pretty similar, but they're not. Because when a new lens or new camera gets reviewed on what hi-fi, the figures are quite amazing, really. But whenever there's something new about hi-fi, I just had some breaking news from Windows, thank you very much for that. But whenever we have a new product for hi-fi, the numbers are pretty insignificant, really, aren't they? There's a massive difference between the interest in photography than what there is compared to hi-fi. And the funny thing is that people that are interested in photography are saying how much the photography market is suffering, especially DSLRs, with the advent of smartphones and how good the lenses are on them and the cameras on them, that the market is suffering. But still, when there's a new camera, when there's a new lens, the figures, according to YouTube, are very, very high. When there's a new hi-fi product being reviewed, the figures are, well, pretty mediocre. Why is that? So what I decided to discuss with you today is 10 reasons, they're not in no particular order, 10 possible reasons why hi-fi just doesn't seem to be popular anymore. Okay, let's start at number 1, shall we? It's too big. It takes up too much space. Does it? Does it really? Is it really too big? Now, when I used to live in Spain, I noticed that when they started to build new apartments, pisos, that the sizes of them were getting smaller and smaller. The living space was being reduced and the cost of buying them was going up. So the size was going down and the price was going up. If we think of 80s hi-fi, I think the standard size of a box was about 42 centimetres, wasn't it? And used to get big, massive loudspeakers. But not today. Manufacturers have cottoned on to this fact that we probably got less living space, and they now make some really cute, good looking, small size, compact size hi-fi equipment and loudspeakers, and it looks really, really smart. So there's no excuse to say I don't have the space, it's too big. There's tons of hi-fi that is small in size and sounds great. Let's look at point number 2 that I've written down. It looks ugly. Does it? Is hi-fi ugly? When I think of 80s hi-fi, those black boxes with those hundreds and thousands of little buttons on them, perhaps they didn't look that good. But retro hi-fi seems to be in fashion at the moment. I personally like it. I love retro hi-fi. I think it looks really, really good. But I also like modern hi-fi. And again, I think manufacturers have cottoned on to the fact that people like things that look modern in their homes. They want their homes to look smart. And they make products that look good. They really do. Again, is that an excuse then? It's too ugly. I don't think so. What about number 3? Now this one could be a touchy subject. It's too expensive. The price of hi-fi nowadays is just for the rich, the 1%ers. You've got a good point. Hi-fi is expensive. But not all hi-fi is expensive. Today, more than ever, I feel personally, we are spoiled for choice of hi-fi components. While there is a market of very, very expensive kit, there is also a fantastic opportunity to buy fantastic sounding hi-fi at very low prices. And it sounds good. Snobs amongst us might not like it, but I think it sounds good. HiFi is very, very affordable, and we get excellent sound quality for the price that we can pay today for HiFi. So again, that's not an excuse of why HiFi isn't popular. Let's move on to number 4. I've got a busy life. I'm working all day long. I need to see my family. I've got absolutely no time to sit down and listen to music. Now, this one's hard to answer. It's probably true. We do live very, very busy lives. But does that still mean we don't have any time for ourselves to listen to some music? I don't know. That's a difficult question to answer, that, the no time one. Now, number 5 is a good one, I feel. Music is rubbish. Well, again, you're probably right. I think the last decade of music that I personally liked was the 80s. There was some music in the 90s that I thought was good, but as soon as we hit the noughties, it all went downhill as far as I was concerned. I don't think I really liked that much music from the noughties. I love the 80s, as you're probably aware, people that watch this channel regularly, which isn't very many. You'll know that I love 80s music. I like 70s music. I like 60s music. I like any music until sort of the noughties. And people might feel, well, what do I want to buy a hi-fi for with such rubbish music? Surely my smartphone's good enough to listen to such poor music. I don't know, maybe today's youth feel that today's music's great and I'm just an old fogey. I don't know. But personally, I don't like modern music at all. I like the music from the 80s. But is that really, again, an excuse to not buy a hi-fi system because today's music is not good enough? Who knows? What about this one? It's kind of related, and that is poor quality recordings. Again, you may well be right. We've all heard the expression, the loudness wars. Do we not buy music because the music is so poorly recorded? Again, I don't know. I can't answer that question. Just because some music is poorly recorded, does that mean that all music is poorly recorded and we can't buy something else? We're not going to buy a hi-fi system because all music is poorly recorded? Sounds like another excuse to me. Now, this is a good one. Very, very popular amongst men. The wife. We all know the initials, don't we? The W, A, F. What does that mean? The wife acceptance factor. Now, again, is that an excuse? When I look at modern hi-fi, I think it looks great. And there is no reason why modern hi-fi should spoil the look of the decor in your home. It looks really, really good. We've got attractive looking speakers and we've got attractive looking components. Why would the wife take an offence or get upset because we want to put a hi-fi system in the lounge? I don't know. Personally, I struggle with that one. I really do. Because as I say, we've got beautiful choices of real wood finish on loudspeakers today. They look really smart, most loudspeakers. The hi-fi, again, also looks very, very smart. You can make a hi-fi look absolutely great in your living space, and it will keep your wife happy. This one's a big problem, personally. Again, going back to living in Spain, I knew what the houses were built like. Unfortunately, you could hear every single noise from your neighbour. You really, really could. You had a brick between your house and your neighbour's house was a brick, and that was it. As I say, you could hear absolutely every single noise. So that sort of made listening to a hi-fi system quite difficult because the sound would just go through your neighbour's wall, through their wall into the next neighbour's. And it probably went about 3 or 4 houses down. So having neighbours above you, below you, to the left of you, to the right of you, it makes it pretty difficult to play music, especially if you've got a very sensitive neighbour. So that is a problem, especially if you've got big floor-standing loudspeakers and you like a lot of bass, for example. Neighbours, that is a problem. Now, that is a genuine reason why people don't buy hi-fi systems, because we're living in we're all living on top of each other, aren't we? And as I say, if we've got neighbours that don't like music, then again, that could be a problem. A camera's silent, isn't it? You just click a button and that's it. With music, it can be a little bit more problematic. Now, this screensaver keeps going off. Let's get it back on. And number 9 is you'd rather spend money on other things. Well, now what can you say? What do you want to spend your money on? Most people like holidays, cars, their mortgages, looking after their families. Life today is very, very expensive. And it probably makes it difficult for a lot of people to be able to afford to buy a hi-fi system. So that is quite understandable that they don't have much money to buy or to spend on a hi-fi system, or they would prefer to spend their money on something else. Again, that is quite understandable, isn't it? And this is another point. The final point I would like to talk about is number 10. And many people say that the sound quality of hi-fi never improves. Again, that's a difficult question to answer. A lot of people feel it's just marketing. The sound hasn't really improved that much. An amplifier from 20, 30 years ago will sound just as good as an amplifier of today. So why should I change my hi-fi system? For example, with a car, it degrades, doesn't it, over time? The more miles you do on it, it's gradually over time becoming older and older, and the parts are degrading, and eventually we need to replace it for a newer, probably more safer car. With hi-fi, it can go on for years and years and years, and you probably feel no need to change it. The sound of a 70s, 60s amplifier or 50s amplifier or whatever, or a pair of loudspeakers, sounds exactly the same as an amplifier of today. Or maybe an amplifier back then sounds even better than an amplifier of today. So that again is another problem. Has sound quality improved? How do you feel about that? Do you think sound quality has improved? Another very good question. If you don't think it's improved, you've got no reason really, have you, to buy another hi-fi system. If it's still working, sounds good, you probably think, why change it? So there you see, I've just looked at 10 very brief reasons of why hi-fi could possibly not be so popular. Why people don't really tune in to hi-fi videos and channels on YouTube. I say I've noticed it, and I'm sort of curious as to the reason why. Anyway, please leave your comments down below. I'd like to know your reasons of why you think hi-fi isn't popular, or maybe you feel hi-fi is popular. I'd like to know. Please let me know in your comments below. Thank you very much for tuning into this latest Eden Audio YouTube presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any suggestions of any other topics you'd like me to discuss here on this channel in the future, again, please let me know. I'm all ears. Thanks everyone. Take care. Have a great day. Keep listening to that music. Bye-bye now.